Hey YouTube, and thank you for watching Junkworks DIY Garage. Well, I replaced the pinion seal in the behind this piece of the pinion right here. Anyhow, and in doing that, realized that either I screwed up and tightened this too much, or the last person screwed up and didn't tighten it enough. That's what I'm hoping happened. But regardless, I went too far in all my testing. I don't know how much of it's going to be on the video, but if you want to see that, I'm going to have a separate video on replacing the pinion seal, because that went flawlessly. Everything was great right up until I went to tighten this nut down, and I think I turned it one too many times. So behind here is, I believe, a crush sleeve that puts the right amount of tension on the pinion bearing. And every video I've seen, people are just ramrodding this thing on with their 1/2 inch impact to get it where it needs to be. And this was barely, I mean, there's like 2 threads on the end out here, maybe 1.5 to 2 threads of this. And I tried to get it back there and turned it one too many times, because then I was able to bring it back and put it where it was. But yet again, crush sleeve, once you crush it too far, you've gone too far. But then I started researching what I need to do with this, and quite honestly, you see people doing their inch-pound stuff with it here on the rig, in the rig. And this is all supposed to be taken off to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off and make sure that I got the right torque, the right inch-pounds, the right whatever I can figure out in this. So quite honestly, I don't know what's going to happen exactly in this. I'm hoping I need to tighten this actually more to get it right, or it's where it needs to be and I'm happy with it. But regardless, we're going to go ahead and take this whole pinion section out here. Now, I've already also done the fluids. I've taken the fluids out. There's no pan on the back of this. The fluids are completely emptied out. I will also have that in another video where I'm taking the fluids out and replacing them. On the aspect of cutting some stuff out, I'm going to just say it right here. I am no expert at anything I do. If you don't like the way I'm doing it, don't do it. And if you do something I do, see if I can say do more times, I am not responsible if you do. You are responsible for your own safety, for your own equipment, and for your own knowledge of how to do something. So we're starting with a 5/8. Alright, came loose. Ow, I hit my elbow. Now I'm going to go directly across from that one. I'm going to pop these loose, just kind of in a star pattern. So we're going to get these the rest of the way out. Now, I got a mark on this for a different reason, but I'm going to remember that the one that has the mark on it is the one holding this brake line in here as well. All these are all the same size. This one has a longer one in it, just for your information. And quite honestly, before I go any further and knock a bunch of crap down inside these holes, I am going to actually put this back in a little bit here, just to keep the crap out of the holes yet again. And I'm going to clean this up better before I pop this off of here, just to keep as much crud out as I can. Now there's some shims and things like that behind here that we got to pay attention to and make sure they get back where they need to go. And hopefully this will pop off. I think it's going to be a little heavy, so we got to be kind of careful. Okay. It does appear to be a A little bit of a place to pry here, maybe, or someplace where it was pried before. And yet again, if you do something like this, be careful. So, as you can see, I kind of put this together with my cheater bar here, and I got my big knocker tool. These are not that expensive, and they really come in handy in a lot of places. Now, I've also marked this so when it comes loose, I'll remember how to get it back together. But we're going to try it for now and see if we can get this thing to come off of here. But I'm not hitting super hard either. Doesn't look like she's trying. Holy cow. Alright, I got a couple more screwdrivers and things to try and see if we can open this up just a little bit more on the way around, and maybe something will pry loose here. Using the wrong tool for the right job. But I probably got, you know, yay much, if you can even see that, out so far just by picking, prying, and pulling. Regardless, I am just kind of shoving things up in here. And now I got the pry bar to where I can actually get the pry bar in here a little bit and do some prying. But yet again, this is, you know, it's not really moving a whole lot at all. So I'm hoping there's not something biggerly wrong, or more wrong I should say. But I'm going to keep yanking on it with this thing now again, now that I got it kind of pried out a little bit more. There we go. He freaking haw. Alright. I think I just realized something. Which, this is why I filmed this, because you don't see this on video. Had I turned this and pulled on it, which, knowing what I know, I should have known, but I just wasn't thinking of it. That would have made life easier, because once it started turning, I realized. I will say, using this to bang on and to hold it with has been nice. Oh, well, that was no fun. This has definitely been gone into before, because I can tell I'm not the last one or first one to kind of get in here with things. But it'll clean up all right. I doubt you can see, I don't know, you might be able to see some of that. But right here it says pinion nut 1.5 inch, and right here, as necessary for bearing preload, 350 foot-pounds. Now that's the initial setup of what that bearing should be at. What I'm going to do is, actually I got this torque wrench, it's set up, the highest it'll go is 150 foot-pounds, and I'm going to go to 50 foot-pounds and see what we have here. Nope, we aren't even at 50 foot-pounds for this bolt, and that thing's supposed to be on there 300 and some foot-pounds. And this bearing is so not tight. I can move this bearing around in here. So whoever set this up last did not set it up correctly. I'm pretty sure of it. I'm going to tear this apart. I think I've decided I'm going to tear this apart, take a look at those bearings, and see where we go from here. I am going to have to press it out. So if you don't have a press, pick one up at Harbor Freight. They're cheap. But we gotta press this out. I have a Harbor Freight cheapy press, and the hole that this goes down into is too small for the pinion to go through here. So I'm also going to put a rag down here so it gives, but hopefully will drop not right onto the metal pieces and hurt something. There you go. They're pressed out. I'm going to pull this seal off just because it needs to come off. And because I put that goop in there, I have a feeling it definitely is not going to work to pull it off in one piece, so we'll see. Son of a... Well, it was definitely a what not to do video. Right now, I'm going to clean these bearings up really good and leave them right where they are, and go to my bearing guy that I got. There's a bearing place right by me, and I'm going to ask them what if they can tell me if these are any good or if I should replace them. So here we go. As you can see, I got a few parts here in this area. There's more parts in other places. Anyhow, and you can also see that my old junk is being cleaned up right now because I'm going to reuse it. Now, should you do that? You need to decide for yourself. Here's what happened. I've taken about a week off. My wife unfortunately got COVID, and I've been taking care of her anyway, and while doing that I've done all kinds of research, and I'm still just about as confused as I was before. I don't know how this video is going to turn out, but I figure I hope I help somebody out there that is having just as much trouble as me. But yet again, I make a lot of these videos so you guys know the trials and tribulation of an everyday guy that, you know, I may know mechanic stuff to some extent, but this is a bit over my head. But regardless, I have read and watched every video and read every article that I can find on doing this. I will put a name below of an article that I read that appears like the guy knows what he's talking about. And then the other reason why I'm going the route I'm going is if you look in these things, they there's a, like I said, I've read and looked at a lot of things, and they seem like they don't really care. That's the point I'm getting to. They have very differing tolerances that you can go through without having any problems. The point I'm trying to get to is this needs all cleaned up and replaced. There's no possible way I can do that, so I'm going to take what I have, clean it up the best I can. And I'm taking something that probably should be replaced. Definitely like the bearings, I probably should replace them. But I'm just not in that place right now. And I can start saving up and buying new parts, so maybe a little bit at a time. And I'll have a better video next time because I'll have a better idea of how to do it. Now, on top of that, I did buy a few new things. First of all, I bought a new crush sleeve. I actually got this at my local O'Reilly's. It was only like $4 or $5. It was cheaper than anything I could find online. And here's my thing. It's definitely crushed, but not very much at all. And I'm pretty sure these are probably supposed to be more than, I don't know. Let's look. I mean, we're just literally millimeter off. So in that point, I don't think I need to really replace this. So here's my thing. I'm going to put this back in the box, the new one here. Save it for a later date when I am going to replace this, or if I put this all back together and what I'm hoping will work doesn't work, I got one more shot. Right, so I got this set up in the press here with a couple plates. There's some bigger round circles in here. I'll just show it to you right there, and that sits down in there nicely. Then we got our crush sleeve here, and yet again I'm going to reuse the original one for now. So I've decided before I completely put this together here, I am going to go ahead and I've seen people put lithium grease on these, but I don't have any, so I'm just going to take a little bit of my bearing grease and just kind of put it on here, just to kind of keep it from having a right off the bat dry start. I don't know if this will do anything, but I don't believe it'll hurt anything. Yet again, you need to do your own research. Some down in the races here, just a small coat. I'm not packing it full. Oh, yep. Alright, just kind of start pressing slowly. And if I see anything bad happen, I'm going to stop. That's pressing pretty good. The biggest thing, you got to make sure that like this is still turning here, and this is still turning on here good. Now I believe we are officially pushing on things here a little bit. I'm going to give it a little bit more, just to kind of give it that, maybe crush that bearing down in there a little bit that way. But you don't want to screw that part of it up. So I'm going to call it, everything's still turning good. Where I got the Timken bearing here, and yet again I don't remember where I got it from. So anyhow, this actually has kind of a seal around here already, as to where like this one didn't, the last one I bought, and then this one does as well, which is kind of nice, and it's kind of ribbed, so you can tell that's just to try and keep the leaks down. So I'm not gonna put the goop on here. I may regret that later on, but I did clean this up a little better, and hopefully just the fact that this has a little bit of give to it will take up some of that space. But now we have to get this back on here, and yet again I have a pretty good video of doing that already. And I will say already that I believe there's a big difference. I do believe that this seal right here, if you watch my video where I put this in, this seal right here is a lot tighter, a lot. So I don't know if I have a different kind of 10.5-inch gear, if this was for the older version rather than, I mean, this is a little bit newer version, or what, but it definitely said it was the 10.5 in and it would work with my truck. But taking the information off of this one, this is more what it looks like, and that went on there. I actually had to physically pop this on with a hammer. This could be a lot of why I was having so much trouble trying to get this to work for me. It might have all been that seal right there. So if you learn nothing else, make sure you get the right seal. And if it doesn't have this little lip right here going on it, I would say don't use it. If yours has that lip, if yours doesn't have the lip, then you got to figure that out for yourself. But that is already feeling much better, and I haven't even jammed it down yet. So now we're going to take this and put this on, and here's another place where I bought a new one. I believe I got this at O'Reilly's as well. It was a lot cheaper. There was people who wanted like 50 or 60 bucks for this stupid nut, and I think this was like 10. I don't, yet again, I'll put a price below. But I did have to order this to my O'Reilly's. They didn't have it in stock. And here's where the huge difference comes in what people say is that this is supposed to be between, I mean, I've heard 120, 150, 200, 350 plus. The guy I'm going with says 350 plus. And then when you check everything, I'm using the used bearing, so therefore, and I'll have to recheck my stuff and I'll put it down below when I do. But it's like 20 to 25 inch-pounds with used bearings and 30 to 35 with inch-pounds with new bearings. I'm using new bearings, so I'm going to try and lock this down. I'm not going to jam it on yet. I'm just going to kind of put it in there and kind of see where we're at to make sure that this sleeve hasn't already been crushed to where it needs to be. So I've also heard people say you should put Loctite on this. It doesn't say anything about that in the article I'm looking at right now, and quite honestly, Loctite will definitely make this harder to get on and off if I gotta mess with things. So right now I'm not going to go with Loctite. Yet again, you need to do your own research on that. As well as I am to the point where it originally was in the truck, and as you can see, I'm not even hitting with this nut yet, so I may have crushed this too far. We shall see, but I'm going to keep going with the impact here, and I'm going to put some earphones on. So that is now probably further than it's ever been, and it's turning easier than it's ever turned. I really think two things. I think that seal might have been the wrong seal, and I also think that this was not crushed the way it should have been. So I got this, was the cheapest plate. I figured I couldn't make one probably for what I bought this for. It was on Amazon. Supposed to be stainless steel. I will put the price and where I got it from down below. Yep, this one definitely isn't going to go in. We got 3 in, and it doesn't seem to matter how I turn, twist, or anything else. And let's see if this fits on here. Got my breaker bar here. Alright, so there is 100 right there. We're not even hitting the 10 yet, as far as inch-pounds are concerned. So therefore, I need to try and nail this a little bit more. I'm going to crank this down with the air real quick, as far as I can get it. That is all my impact wrench has, and I think it's probably close to that 150 mark, but decided I should check this. But see, it's getting hung up again. I don't know what that's all about. I'm hoping things are good. Let's get this to kind of get some of that oil grease that I put in there. But yeah, see, now we're going along, and it's definitely chattering, which makes me think that these bearings probably aren't real long for life. Well, this has turned into a good, bad, and ugly of all sorts of good, bad, and ugly. I'm glad I didn't Loctite that in there, because I have once again changed my mind, because I got this going, it felt really good, and then I tightened it up, and yet again it's kind of doing that chirping thing. Although it's turning at much less of an inch-pound torque, the bearings, I think, are just shot. So I'm going to go ahead and press this out and take out the bearings. All that's doing is tearing up the side of the bearings. Well, I tried a couple of homemade tools that ultimately failed, so now it is time to actually probably go to Harbor Freight and grab the real thing. Well, I went ahead and broke down and bought a bearing puller here. I might have to go get some wrenches. This is the Harbor Freight one. You can buy just this part of it. Well, here we are, back from Harbor Freight, and a couple days later, and I got their bigger, the large bearing separator instead of that kit. Unfortunately, this just is the bearing separator. I will put a price below, and we're going to put this on here, tighten it up a bit, see if we can get it to go underneath. I'm going to put a little bit PB Blaster around this thing. I did earlier, but it's been a couple days now since I messed with this last. Well, YouTube, of course, right as I reached under and it was about to drop, I ran out of battery. But as you can see, it is no longer on there. YouTube, I got new bearings. I went ahead and got those. I probably already talked about that. Here's my thing. Is also, I'm not seeing any pitting, any real wear of the bearing in this race. And these bearings don't come with races. Now, these are national bearings. I got them at O'Reilly's because they were budget and local. I tried going to bearing places, two different bearing places. One that I used to know about, and they won't touch people that walk in the door. I could have probably spent $100 there, but they won't touch anybody walking in the door for less than $100. And I called another one up, and they don't deal with people walking in the door at all. So I don't know what the deal is with places that sell bearings and things, but they don't seem to want to deal with normal people anymore these days. Regardless, these are actually from O'Reilly's, and they don't say it anywhere on here. They're just in a white generic box, but they actually say Timken made in USA right here. So if you want a pair of probably budget Timken, not bearings, budget Timken races, then you might check out O'Reilly's, because they don't say Timken anywhere on this box, surprisingly. It says made in, and it doesn't say USA anywhere on the box. So I think this just came directly from the Timken factory in a cheap box that they sell budget ones. I don't know. Yet again, if I can figure it out, I will put prices below for the races and for the bearings. But here's my thing. I'm not going to use these races. I don't want to deal with pulling these races out. And yet again, someday down the road when I'm replacing all this, you'll get to see that video. But I just don't want to mess with it more than anything because I don't see a real need to do so. These are just not in bad shape. I got this on here. Now I clean this up. You don't want to grease or do anything. You want this to be pressed on there as tightly as it possibly can. Now, so we got that on there. Now I got the old race here, which I want to make sure I don't accidentally press this all the way on, but I can press it a little ways. And I'm doing that just to kind of hopefully take some of the pressure off of this little tiny thing here. It'll kind of display the pressure a little better, we'll put it that way. Now we are going to carefully try and press this on yet again. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Alright, well here's the ugliest of the good, bad, and ugly. I put that on wrong. I put that on upside down. Oh my god. We're about to find out if this will pull this off without any damage. So I've cleaned this off now. I don't have lubricant on there. You don't want to lubricate these because you want this part, the inner part here, to stick. You don't want it to be lubed on there. Once this is on, you do not want that part to move. Now, make sure your taper is going up, unlike I did. And then we are going to take this piece again here, although this might be the first time if you're watching just the regular video, and this here, and put it on there. I think we are good, and we are rolling. Well, I'm going to carefully see if I can just knock this off. So be careful if you're pushing that on. Once it hits this little edge down here, it's going to get stuck. So we're going to go ahead and put this on here. Right, then we got this one right here. Put some grease on the outer part here. Probably more than I really want. That's red. I don't want to try not to get too much on the inside because again, I don't want it to be slippery going onto the inside part. You want that inside part to hold tight. So we got our inner race right there. We get this right there. Going on nicely, so pressure. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Alright, hopefully it's not too late, but it probably is. I almost really screwed up, or I did really screw up. Underneath this is supposed to be a crush sleeve. Yet again, we're going with some good, bad, and ugly here. You idiot. So, now we got that pressed on. There is a crush sleeve that needs to go right on here. Now, I was using my old one. I've tried it twice. I don't know. I decided I've got new bearings. Everything's new except for the pinion and this piece here. So I'm just going to use all new parts here. I have them. And we are going to crush that in there. Okay. Grease this bearing up a little bit here. Alright. So here we are again. We got the bearing on here now. We got the crush sleeve in there now. Now it is time to hopefully and finally push this thing together here. And this one I'm not going to really be able to check it. I can kind of do this kind of thing, but I won't be able to really check to see if that's turning until the end. So this one goes on pretty easily. Okay. Here we are. Got my not US made Pinion seal here that I am sort of reusing, even though it's brand new and never used, but it has been put in. But I popped it out. So I got my seal here. And I am going to actually put a little bit of this on here purely because I screwed up and had to pull this off, and I just don't want any leaks. Now, throughout this video, you've also noticed I've used a chrome socket to do most of my stuff, which is not the good way to go when it comes to impact. This is an old US made, fairly really thick 3/4 inch drive, but I put duct tape around this so that hopefully, if it does decide to shatter, it won't shatter into many pieces. Usually they just crack. I know I'm not the first mechanic to use chrome sockets with an impact. We'll put it that way. So I got this set up a little differently. The only reason why is because I'm doing a video on this as well. So I got 3 videos going on. My impact gun, this, and the rear end of my truck. So this is set up a little bit differently because I need my 1/2 inch one here. So we're going to be careful, hopefully. I'm probably going to have to get me a... That was like 250. I'm not even there yet. Here's my biggest conundrum I'm having right now. I'm about where I was before, but this, we aren't anywhere near where we want to be, and I don't know why. Like last time that I was in this area, this wasn't going that much. So I'm going to use the back side of this. My holy cow. This is bending on this some, so it kind of scares me. I mean, I was way over 200 foot-pounds there, probably 260 or so, and I'm getting a little leery of how much that's in there turning. 250, 260, 270, two broken. Son of I should have stopped. Yeah, that just happened. Well, we know where the breaking point of a 3/8 breaker bar is from Harbor Freight. Hopefully I was able to get that number in there before 270 crash bang boom happened. And unfortunately I'm also videotaping with a different camera that is my old camera, because when things went crash bang boom, this is now stuck this way. I'm hoping I can fix something. Otherwise I will be filming with this camera probably the rest of this video anyway, because I have another one just like this on the way that I found on eBay. Hopefully it'll work. We are further than I was last time as far as where the bolt is, and we're still, this is moving, so I may Nope, we're still not on there all the way enough here. I'm gonna go until we can figure out it's not moving. I may need, and I need to get some earplugs yet again. Alright, now we have no play in this, so we are going to check this. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Oh, we got like nothing. Zero preload. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to Loctite it. Maybe that'll give it a little bit of lube for a while. I think this crush sleeve is just giving me a hard time right now is what's going on. I'm going to put a little bit of oil on this, or grease on this, to hopefully make it maybe slip on here a little easier. Probably a little bit on here as well. And then I'm going to throw some Loctite in here. And we're going to give it all that stupid gun has. And here's where I was using my old camera because I broke my next camera. Now I'm using my new camera. But regardless, and part of the reason I got rid of the old camera was because I was having some issues with it not wanting to film. It'd film for like a second and then shut itself off. Well, that happened here. And so I got to tell you what happened here. Basically, I ramrodded that thing on there with that gun, my new gun, and destroyed the crush sleeve. It wouldn't turn at all. So I just put it on way too tight. So I had to pull it all apart again. So during pressing it out again and redoing things, I did actually come back and I was able to press everything apart without removing the seal. Unfortunately, the little spring inside the seal popped out. I think I have that on video, but I'm not sure. But I was able to actually pull the seal off again carefully, get it all off, put that spring back in where it needs to go on the inside, and press it back on. I decided to go that way yet again. Cheap insurance would say go buy another one, but right now my cheap insurance is becoming expensive, so I'm pinching pennies now. I've bought way too many tools and things for this video, or for this project I should say, than I planned on, and it wasn't really in the budget. So I'll talk about that later in the end of this video. I'll kind of have a price list of everything going on. Anyway, this is already getting too long, so let's move forward. Well, just one more defeat in the era of good, bad, and ugly video here. Although I'm pretty sure everything was going fine, that was pressing down on there. I went to set this lower, kind of set everything up, and I don't know what happened. Just by the sheer ugly of the ugly video, this fell. When it hit on here, the seal's fine, but the little spring that is in the back of this popped out. So I'm sure you can do this without messing up the seal, but be more careful and don't let things fall on you. So now I got to press this back out again. I got to try and take this seal off and see if I can do it carefully and see if I can get this spring to work. I'm not putting that on any video because I'm just flat out tired of doing this and I need to get it done now. And so here we are for the tri-10-zillionth time. I got a little bit of grease on the washer here, if I don't drop it first. I'll put that up in there. And quite honestly, it's 6-1, half a dozen the other. Which one of these nuts I should use? I probably should go buy another one. But I am going to put the orange Permatex on here. And slap that on after I get some of the grease off of here. And we're gonna run this booby in here. So I got set up now. I probably should have done that a little bit sooner, but now we're gonna drive this in here. It's still not crushing that down quite enough. We're still a little bit away from things here. Alright, that feels, we don't have any in and out movement, but it's turning. Stick this in here and see where we're at. And we are only a couple of pounds now. So for new bearings, I need to tighten this to 25 to 35 foot-pounds. For reused bearings, 5 to 15. I put new bearings in here, so we're going to aim for 25, between 25 and 35. I will note that that since I started this, the information on some of this chart has actually changed. So it used to say pinion nut, I don't know if you can read any of this, but it used to say pinion nut torque, and now it says tighten as necessary to obtain correct preload, which should be 25 to 35, but it used to say 350 plus pounds of torque. So don't know if just since I started this, a few people have read that, ran it down too far, and complained, or what. Yet again, you never know what kind of information you're getting or how correct it is, but I would say he's got most of the information you're going to need to get as close as you can with information on the internet. So I would still recommend them, but that has actually changed since I started doing this. Just going to go a little bit at a time. If it turns, I'm going to turn it a tiny bit and do it again until I get it right, hopefully. Quite honestly, you don't need to see me do that and then test and do that and then test. That's my plan. Go just, you know, a minute turn and test it until I hopefully get it right. We are right under 30. Honestly, I'm calling it. So I've taken brake clean and cleaned this up as good as I can. Now we got the metal shim here, and I got my caliper here. I'll turn on, and I'm going to put it in millimeters because it's actually easier to read sometimes. I don't want leaks. 0.28 millimeters, 0.28 millimeters, 0.27 millimeters. So if I get real close to one of these, it's pretty flat. Yeah, that's messed up. So 0.27. So if I find, so 0.27, I got to remember that. I should have brought something to write it on, which I have it right here. And then right here in this package off Amazon, I will put a price down below. I got this right here from Performance Plus Connection off eBay. Sorry, not Amazon. I knew I was going to do that. It's off eBay. And it was $15.19 as well. I might as well say it since I have it right here. Shipped to my door for the 10.5 millimeter and the 73 to 2010 Pinion shim package. Made in the USA, according to the eBay seller. It comes in this package right here. So, in this package, once again, I got these shims here. So I got, I don't know, 4 or 5 shims here. I think there's 5. I'm going to start measuring them out and find one that's the closest to 0.27 millimeters or whatever you want to measure it by. Normally I don't use metric, but sometimes with smaller measurements it's easier. And the second one out of the box, you won't be able to see it probably, but 0.26, 0.27, 0.27. So this appears to be the one that I want here. So we're going to go ahead and start with this one up here. Now one side of it has a little tang thing sticking out here. That faces towards the passenger side, as if you're sitting in the truck. Or I should say right hand side for those of you who actually do measure in metric, some of you. So we got our pinion here, and pinion assembly I would call it. Anyway, and we got our shim. Now on this pinion there's a flattened side that's not machined real well. All the rest of them have kind of rounded sides all the way around. That flat side goes to the right hand side or passenger side of the vehicle. And then we got our shim. The shim, this little bump out here, hopefully you can see that, goes in that same spot. Now I have also, in testing this, the shim goes a specific direction. So if the holes aren't lining up correctly, you might need to flip it around. So, because I had to do that, at least on mine. Yet again, this is important to get this correct, because there's an oiling passageway up here that coincides with oiling passageways in this pinion assembly here. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to stick it in. Now this nub right here needs to go into where that pinion bearing in the inside is. Be a feat to do. Ooh, okay. Good here. I'll make sure I don't want to pinch this very a lot or anything like that. Now I'm going to go on the other side and kind of take a look and make sure things are lining up the way I'm hoping they are. And then I will probably have to bash this in a little bit with a hammer. It's a casting. Got to be careful when you're doing this stuff. That seems to be working better. I really didn't want to do that, but I didn't want to end up. I was afraid I might end up hitting that crush sleeve and messing something up, but it does. So according to that Bella Vista website, the pinion retainer, which I believe this is what this is 65 foot-pounds. It also talks about the pinion and one other thing, and I couldn't tell which one it was, but it talked about 65 foot-pounds, so we're going to go with 65 foot-pounds here, and hope my torque wrench is accurate enough. And I may have already overdone it. That is definitely not moving at all. So, I would say I probably am at 65 plus foot-pounds. So I'm going to actually back it off. Alright, so I got these kind of backed out and just in by hand. And now we're going to try it and tighten them to 65 foot-pounds. Let's see what happens. 65 foot-pounds is not very much at all. Or my torque wrench is not correct. I actually have to sometime see if I can calibrate this thing. So, if you made it this far, thank you very much. Now, I took and went to an off-road four-wheel drive place that's near me, asked them what it would cost to do the rear end in this truck if I brought the rear end in. $1,800 at the point of this video for them to do that. Now I also asked, okay, so if I give you this Pinion setup here and I have you set it up with the parts that are in it, not replacing parts, what would it cost? And he said $800. So keep in mind that the lowest price I could have got help doing this with was $800. Keep in mind, I didn't put in the 1/2-inch breaker bar or my little tiny inch-pound torque wrench. I forgot to look those up. $9.99 probably at Harbor Freight for both if you find them on sale. Regardless, add 20 or 30 bucks to the end of this price if you would like to. So just in parts alone, I have $136.06. Now that's not counting that I did a couple things twice. I messed up the bearing. Don't do that. Watch this video and don't do what I did. And I ended up going through a couple crush sleeves for $5 a pop. But anyway, so add another $5 to that as well. So $136.06 plus a few dollars for another crush sleeve and several dollars for if you screw up a bearing, but don't do that. Tools. The tools, if you were to go buy them brand new today at full price, by the way, from Harbor Freight, eBay, or Harbor Freight and Amazon, including my impact gun, including the knocker, all these things that I had in there. I put the prices below. That's why I'm kind of going through this fairly fast. If you want to see more, go watch my shorter version of this video. But total for all the tools was $776.03, and like I said, full price, and that didn't count the tools I talked about in the beginning. So without further ado, let's finish this video up. Well, I think that we officially have hit the end of this video finally. It was much harder than it looked. Not that anything here was really hard. It just it takes knowledge that I didn't have until now, kind of thing. Now that I've done it, I've had knowledge. Everybody's got to start somewhere, and this is my first time doing this kind of thing. And really, yet again, if I knew and had, I guess, information that was a little bit more across the board the same, it would make life easier, but really there just isn't. So now that we got this all set up in here, I need to do the backlash. I'm definitely going to do that in a different video, because this is kind of what you need to know to get this into this point. You're going to have to do that part of it as well, but this video is going to go on way too long no matter which one you're watching anyway, and I'm going to separate them. Maybe someday I'll put them all together in one big long video if you would like to watch all that. Hopefully somebody got something out of that and you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching Junk Works Garage, where I'm proud to say I'm a jack of all and I am obviously master of none. You all have a good one.